So what is up guys, and welcome back to another video. And today I wanted to do a video sort of going into preparation for the upcoming Far Harbor DLC expansion. So just going over some perks that you may want to invest into, some of the best weapons, armor, tips and much more, just to keep you guys as prepared as possible for the upcoming expansion itself. I mean, it's only like 3 days away now until we get hands on this awesome DLC. So hopefully you do find this video helpful today, and with that being said, let's jump straight into this. So we're going to start off with perks first. I think I'm going to structure it this way, where we start off with perks and then move on to the weapons, armor and general tips and stuff straight afterwards. So when it comes to perks in Fallout, it's primarily based on your character build. You know, if you're playing a very sneaky type character, you'd invest in perks like Ninja and all the kind of sneak type perks and stuff like that. But there's 3 perks in particular that I do want to point out here, and these really aren't, you know, specified to any sort of character build. Now, as many of you guys may or may not know, Far Harbor is going to be a highly radiated place. There's going to be a bunch of different areas where there's a bunch of radiation, and we know this because there's several description factors that Bethesda have given themselves on Far Harbor, you know, stating that it is highly radiated, and various other things from the trader and stuff like that. And because it's a highly radiated place, you may want to invest in some of the radiation perks in Fallout 4 itself. And one of the best radiation perks you can probably get is Rad Resistance. Investing 4 points into this perk will net you 40% extra rad resistance, which is definitely a huge help, especially in highly radiated areas. Another great perk for this is Ghoulish, and what Ghoulish basically does from the description here, radiation now regenerates even more of your lost health, and some feral ghouls will randomly become friendly. As many of you guys may know, there's going to be a bunch of feral ghouls as well on Far Harbor. We actually spotted a bunch of them in the trailer, so definitely investing into Ghoulish as well may be a good idea if you do have the skill points to spare and actually invest into perks like this. Additionally to this, you may want to invest in the Aquaboy perk, and the reason for that is because Far Harbor is going to feature a bunch of water areas where you can actually go down underneath the water. You know, Far Harbor is based off Bar Harbor in real life. Bar Harbor is on Mount Desert Island, and Mount Desert Island is surrounded by water. So if you're somebody out there who likes to explore, you definitely may want to invest in this perk. Of course, you can literally explore the underwater areas then for as long as you like without getting damaged by, you know, running out of breath or anything like that. So Aquaboy is definitely one that you may want to look into as well. And finally, we have Scrapper, which is actually 4 perks, although I said 3, but Scrapper is one that you may also want to look at, although some people may see it as a waste of a perk. If you do have the skill points and you don't really have any other perks that you're interested in, this may be another one, because you're probably going to be going to the island without too many materials on you and empty workbenches. So Scrapper may be a good one. Of course, Scrapper pretty much makes it so that you can actually salvage materials from scrapping, you know, weapons and armor, which can definitely come in handy. Another kind of thing that I do want to mention, which is part of the tip section of the video, is carrying around a bunch of shipments of materials with you. Shipments don't weigh anything, you know, it's pretty awesome to have them on you. And if you carry around a bunch of different shipments for each materials, you can literally just go ahead and have materials on the go. That is something that I definitely suggest you guys do as well in preparation for Far Harbor. And while the rest of the perks, they're entirely down to you. Once again, it's pretty much character based at this point. Me personally, I'm going to be going with sort of like a stealthy tank sort of build when going into Far Harbor. But again, the rest is entirely down to you and your character build for the rest of the perks that you are going to be choosing alongside these. But now let's talk a little bit about weapons and armor. And starting off, of course, we're going to talk about armor, because I feel like there's a little bit more to talk about over armor than weapons, because weapons are sort of generic in a sense. But with armor, as many of you guys may know, the best thing you can do for your armor rating and damage resistance right now is Ballistics Weave. I've done several different tutorials based around what Ballistics Weave is down in the description down below if any of you guys are interested in checking those out and exactly how you obtain it. But Ballistics Weave pretty much adds an armor rating to certain clothing items, and those certain clothing items can also be worn underneath normal armor sets such as heavy combat armor, which is what makes this absolutely perfect. And not only that, it's absolutely great. I mean, it has an armor rating of like 110 plus if you go ahead and put Ballistics Ballistics Weave Mark 5 on any piece of clothing that you can. What I typically use this with is Dirty Army Fatigues and a Newsboy cap, but it does work with several different armor pieces and clothing. Again, links down below to info on this, and that's the beginning. You know, you want to be wearing a Ballistics Weave, and then the rest of the armor on top is pretty much down to you. And again, your playstyle. You may want to go ahead and put on certain pieces of legendary armor that makes you more stealthy. A lot of people are saying, you know, you may want to go in with Exterminator's armor pieces, which is a legendary effect that reduces damage by Mirelurks and bugs by 15%. And we do know that, you know, Far Harbor is going to feature a lot of Mirelurks and bugs, again, from information and the trailer. So, I mean, if you can get your hands on some Exterminator heavy combat armor or combat armor pieces in general, that would be a great help. But I do like to mix and match a bit with the combat armor that I wear on top of Ballistic Weave. Sometimes I roll with, you know, Chameleon armor, so I'm a lot more stealthy. Other times I'd go with Sentinel's armor, so that when I'm standing still, I get a 15% damage reduction, which, by the way, is completely overpowered if you manage to get a full set of that. I've done a completely different video again on this as well, where I showed off pretty much what is a near to invincible character build. And essentially, if you have Ballistic Weave with a full set, or at least 4 pieces of the Sentinel's armor on top, you pretty much are a walking tank on any difficulty. You can just roam around, and pretty much anything that hits you is not going to do too much damage to you. It's pretty damn crazy in terms of that aspect. But that's pretty much it for the armor. That's the best thing I can suggest, is pretty much go for Ballistics Weave, as well as either Exterminator's armor or just some form of, you know, different combinations of combat armor on top of that to get your damage resistance up, and of course gain the benefits as well from the legendary effects there. Now, as for the weapons, a lot of people would suggest the Exterminator weapons as well, or legendary Exterminator's effect on the weapons, because that gives you plus 50% damage to Mirelurks and bugs. And again, Mirelurks and bugs are going to be a huge feature in Far Harbor. But again, these just aren't the best. The best legendary prefixes on weapons that you're really going to want to go for are either explosive, which if you get your hands on an explosive shotgun, that really does put the game in easy mode. Like, the explosive shotgun is probably too overpowered. You may not want to go in with that if you want to have a challenge, even on any difficulty, no matter what. But the ones that you want to look out for, of course, are explosive, 2-shot, and kneecapper. Kneecapper is especially important because if you get a kneecapper weapon that is automatic and has a huge fire rate, that will literally help you in any situation. A kneecapper weapon with an automatic fire rate is just one of the best things in the game in terms of helping you, because as soon as you spray a couple of bullets into a target, they're going to be crippled. So you can actually cripple them in seconds, switch to a different weapon, and fight them that way. But those are the 3 you really want to look out for when legendary farming. Again, legendary farming tutorials down in the description down below. I've done a bunch on the channel before. One weapon that you may want to pick up that already comes with a 2-shot prefix is the Overseer's Guardian. This thing has always been a tank in the game. I've always had this with me. This weapon is truly still to this day one of the best weapons in the game. Of course, you know, bar to the legendary weapons that if you get lucky enough to get them, that would be awesome. But the Overseer's Guardian is pretty simple to get. Simply head over to Vault 81, and a vendor by the name of Alexis Combs will be selling it to you at a pretty reasonable price as well, of something like 1,000 to 2,000 caps for this extremely powerful weapon. And that's pretty much it for tips about weapons and armor. And for general tips, one thing I do want to say is go in there with a lot of caps, because, you know, vendors around Far Harbor, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a bunch of vendors that you can purchase items from. More than likely legendary weapons as well. If it's anything like the vanilla game of Fallout, there's a bunch of weapons that you can purchase from different vendors. So make sure you're going in there with a lot of caps. Make sure that you're going in there as well with as less on you as possible. You don't want to end up being over encumbered, because you're going to be picking up a lot of new weapons. Of course, you're going to want to test them out, going to want to go ahead and just have them in your inventory. So going in there with just the necessities is probably the best idea as well for you in that case. And again, as well, if you feel like it, make sure you go in with a bunch of shipments, because then you can have materials on the go that literally weigh nothing, and that will just help for when modding weapons and stuff like that. And that's pretty much it for the general tips and stuff like that I wanted to showcase today to get your character prepared for Far Harbor. As always, if you did enjoy this video today or did find it helpful, be sure to leave a like down below, guys. Your support, of course, is always greatly appreciated on the channel. And you guys have been smashing the likes as always, so if you can keep that up again, that would be awesome. You guys are awesome. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you guys next time with a brand new video. Peace out.